Like, man, if you don't get the...
Sometimes it's not.
It was like, if you don't shut the fuck up. Welcome to another episode of Tune the Fork, episode 3.
Number 3.
I'm James.
I'm Life.
And we here to chop it up about whatever.
Whatever, man. Whatever. Episode number 3, man. Thank you for everybody for the love for the last couple.
Yeah. We was thinking about some episodes. Obviously, we've been having some stuff going on, before getting to now, man. And talking about the Matrix.
Oh man, that was deep.
How we learned some new shit.
Yep.
And
yeah. How that joint is a true reflection. The movie The Matrix.
Yeah.
How that joint is a true reflection of reality and the world we live in.
Yeah, and I think it kind of fit into what we wanted to really, it's a broad topic, but something I think we can touch on a few different pieces, which is, the idea of fighting slight, like how there's this world that exists that kind of pushes you down to want to put a veil over your head of the reality, because you got all this shit around you saying, procrastinate, fuck off, wait to do something, take everything personally, focus on all of this shit that really don't mean anything, and use that as the excuse to keep still, which is, in essence, some form of a matrix that I think we all have to tap into on a regular basis.
Live and exist solely in your emotions.
Solely. And react and respond accordingly, and from that position as well.
Yep.
And you have to actually be extremely conscious of saying, hey, look, man, like, this shit ain't always, about me.
Yeah, because it happened fast.
Say that again?
It happened fast.
Yeah. What you been working on this week, man? Dealing with?
Man, just that thing, man. Just understanding that as you press on, you got to press on. And so you're not just fighting, especially when you're trying to navigate your own sort of purpose, not the purpose that someone assigned to you. Like if you got a job, that purpose is sort of assigned to you. Like you have to have this thing done, so your accountability is different. When you're trying to get through your own thing, it kind of becomes a fight against your own doubt and your own being slight, because everybody got that slight nerve in them that once it's pricked, sometimes all you can do is just sit down and be slight. Yeah. So you gotta, I've been trying to fight through that, and it works. It works when it works, but you want to get better at it. You want to get that muscle stronger.
I be feeling that way sometimes, man, when meaning feeling slight or the urge to fight the slight.
Right.
When I take shit, like, just personally, man.
Yeah.
When I be sitting back and thinking about how much of how I react and respond to shit is based on, like, this fabricated threat.
Yeah.
Like,
well, let's take a step back and define slight, because we use it so much.
Yeah.
I don't think people really know. It's such a funny ass word. I don't think people really know. How would you define slight? Because it's a broad term, but it definitely has a definition.
Not measuring up.
Right.
And you get to determine what that is.
Right.
So there's a 10, and then there's a motherfucking 8. Right. There's a 7, there's a 9.5, and there's a 2.
Yeah, and the thing about slight that's funny to me is part of the definition is that you know it. It's not like you're trying to measure up and you just kind of fall short. You know what I'm saying? You know you're not even trying. I think that's the amazing thing about that word slight, that it captures that perfectly.
And for me, it's like the fucking gap don't matter. The fact that there is a gap is what matters.
Yeah.
So my shit could be 9.5.
Right.
On a scale of 1 to 10, or it could be a 2.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm slight if it's not a 10. And I know that like I get to determine what that level of effort is.
Right.
And the fight slight concept is really knowing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
Knowing how I'm supposed to be showing up.
Right.
And still accepting something from myself that is less than that. Right. And sometimes you want to be okay to be slight, but know that because both of those things can exist and they do exist. Mm-hmm. And so embracing both sides is a part of it, but that ain't what this conversation is about.
Right.
The conversation is about like, motherfucker, when you know you supposed to be doing something and you not doing it.
Yeah.
Or when you in your feelings about some shit that you shouldn't be in your feelings about.
Yep.
And which is way, way, way more often than not.
Yep.
And so many dudes be in their feelings, bro.
Yeah.
Like they are so I mean, we men, right? So we listen to men talk. Like we hear the conversations about, and we observe the conversations, and we hear like the contrast between what we be projecting on the women and assigning all of these things. Women are more emotional. Women fall in love fast, all of this shit. But really, it's like, no, motherfucker, you are the emotional one, and it shows up more often than you think.
Yep.
Because a lot of times we be hiding the shit behind masculinity.
Yep.
Or, like we'll identify a trait as a good thing, but it's like, nah, motherfucker, it's like emotional. What's crazy is that you can identify it as an emotional trait, but the minute you know it's something different, and you choose to not recognize it as that, is when you being slight. Yeah. Like that's the fucking slight.
That's it. That's the point.
That's the slight.
And part of it is like, for me, when you do it and you don't, I mean, I think that's a different thing. It's slight to a degree, but it's a different thing. But for me, when I know that I'm not, like when I respond in a way that I know and I know better, and I can say, you mean like life, you being slight, knock it off, right? You have to, like that acknowledgement immediately makes you adjust. Yeah. Like, or at least try to adjust. Sometimes I know and I laugh and I have to sit in it for a minute, but then because I know it, I have to make an adjustment. And I think that's the difference between what you just said. Like some dudes exist in it and they make excuses for that behavior over and over and over and over again. So without just saying, all right, y'all, I'm being slight. And then make adjustments.
So what do you call a motherfucker who don't know they being slight? Because that ain't slight.
I know. That's something different. I don't know. What do you tell me?
Is that a fuck boy? I think that might be a fuck boy.
You might be on to something.
Like that might. Like,
you might be on to something.
And I don't get me wrong, bro. I've tiptoed in fuck boy waters.
But listen, a fuck boy though is somebody in my mind.
First off, I don't even use that term, by the way.
Right.
That's some shit I think women use more often than dudes. So I want to be clear. Like,
right. This is just a term that seems a general term. Yeah. But that's someone who knows it but does it anyway.
So that's a fuck boy.
Yeah. Or I'm asking. No, see, or is it someone who doesn't know it and they're just doing it, thinking that they're doing like they're meant, like they doing grown man shit?
I think there's a certain level of ignorance that comes with fuckboy status.
Yeah.
Cause I think there's something, and I don't think I haven't put enough thought into defining these terms, especially since I don't use either or that often.
Right.
But I guess I should have asked women to define, when they called me a fuckboy, I probably should have said, can you tell me what that is? But you know what they probably would have said?
Right.
Exactly what the fuck you being right now.
You, your ass.
You, like you right now, at this moment.
Yeah, that's a broad term too, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's a and we all have dabbled in being slight, man.
Yeah.
And you know you being slight, and you sort of, you know.
I think there's a knowledge, bro. I think there's a knowledge that, or lack thereof, that puts you in those categories.
Yeah.
Cause like, I think in those moments when I reached fuckboy status, like there was a certain way in which I was probably moving, being unaware of how I was impacting other people. So playing games, fucking around, you know, not seeing how you know, playing with other people's emotions and shit. Just being reckless with the whole ordeal. Yeah. Like that seems more fuckboy, because it probably has something to do with more harm. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it might have something to do with the amount of harm you're doing. Because like if you're being slight, like when we say that, generally speaking, I'm talking about knowing what I should be doing and not doing it.
And it's generally about yourself, like things that standards that you set for yourself, or that you know what I mean, levels that you know, but you're just not, in your efforts, not reaching those standards.
So,
but reckless behavior is a whole different, that's a whole different category.
Yeah. So there are times when I know I'm supposed to be doing some shit.
Right.
And I will make all excuses in the world to not do it.
Every one of them.
That's being slight.
That is being,
And one of the ways I think, because like the shit that we're doing with this clothing stuff, man, I know that I'm being slight in some areas because I'm in an arena that I'm not very comfortable in or familiar with. And so there's a lot of fumbling around that is extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
And that even though I know I'm doing a lot, I don't think I'm doing enough.
Right.
And I know that.
Right.
And even if somebody says, hey man, you did a really good job, you know, like I know I was being slight.
Right.
And so how do you fight that? And then because I think we can become masters at hiding in those corners that keep you from not hitting that 10 that you know you need to hit. Because being slight I don't equate it to an end result. It's more about an effort for me.
Yep.
More so than where you land on some shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like, because my mother would call it you convicted. Like, that's a old church term that means that you know better, but something inside of you is saying, man, what are you doing? Like, you know you can do better. So I think in that feeling, in feeling slight, is saying to you, you gotta do better. So that kind of puts you at least back on the right path. Like, you know, like, man, I'm just gonna sit here and be slight, right? But then something that says, man, you being slight.
Yeah.
So you eventually make it back to the right path. So I think that's part of it. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Sometimes I think that's part of it. Like,
what?
Being slight, and then that slightness is what motivates you to accomplish what you need to accomplish. Like, you don't want that feeling. You hate that feeling of being slight. I know I do. Like, hate that feeling of, you know you can do better. Why would you, you know what I'm saying? Get your shit together. Let's press on.
And you know what a great indicator is for me of being slight? I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like that's, I don't give a fuck what it is. Yep. Or I'll do it next time. Yep. Or there's something in the thought process that has to do with putting it off.
Right.
Extending it.
Especially when you're doing it. Like if you sitting at something and then you stop and you say, I'll just do it tomorrow. Like not I'll finish it or, you know, but sometimes, you know what? Now that you said that, sometimes I do start to get that and I'll say, let me do 10 more minutes. And then I'll put it down for a little while and sort of give my brain a rest, and then I'll come back to it, right? But then being slight is not getting back to it to the next day.
Yeah.
But at least saying, let me press this 10 more minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is, to get through this, and then I'll sort of adjust. But that do it tomorrow piece is, that's slight at its finest right there.
Do you have things that you don't, like, do you think you slight on being a dad?
Because
there's some shit that like, or do we just, if we were honest, do we slight on every motherfucking thing? It just depends on to what degrees.
It's levels.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
But it either is or isn't though, right?
Yeah. I mean, slight is slight. It is not giving your best to whatever endeavor you're in front of you. And knowing that you're not, you know what I'm saying? But it's definite levels. Like, in terms of being a dad, sometimes, you know, they want to do a board game. And you like, man, I'm just going to chill. Can I just chill for a minute? And you know you're supposed to get up and play with the, you know what I'm saying? And you know you're being slight. But then again, you say, all right, give me 10 minutes. Let me do these couple things and then we'll get at it. And then you gotta move forward. So I think in those moments you're being slight, but the adjustment happens for me faster.
Yeah.
When it comes to them, I don't say I'm just gonna do it tomorrow.
Dude, I had a real slight moment with my boy a few years back. So find out he's smoking weed, right? And so his mom calls and is like, he's smoking weed. So again, ain't no motherfucking owner's manual. I get in the car, I go out to Ashburn. I handle it so wrong, bro.
Yeah.
As I'm handling it wrong, I am observing myself handle it wrong. I am observing it all. I'm looking at his face.
Yeah.
And it's like the more I know I'm handling it wrong,
right,
it's like the further I'm putting my foot on the gas.
You going all in the wrong.
And I feel, and I know as I'm doing it, it's not right. I don't know why it's not right. I just know it's not right. I'm like, this is something that I'm not handling the right way, right, but I'm still not handling it the right way.
But do you think he knows that you were?
He knows it, bro. because he know, he's looking at me and I'm like, I'm out of my zone here,
right,
bro. Like,
right.
But I'm doing what I feel is the right thing to do.
Right.
So we actually had a conversation about this 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to apologize to you, man. Like, that was just completely wrong. I didn't handle that right. I had all kind of motivations and fears that made me respond in that way. And he was like, he knew it.
Yeah.
And he could tell. And he was like, man, I appreciate you even acknowledging that you didn't handle that right.
Yeah.
Like, because, and one of the reasons why now I'm thinking back on it, I like having conversations about shit.
Right.
This wasn't no conversation.
Right.
Like, this is me dictating a set of things, not understanding what's driving this behavior. Like, it was completely outside of myself.
You giving sermons and shit.
And there were a lot of reasons why I did it. But anyway, the reason why I mentioned that is because as an example of with the kids, being slight and know you're being slight while you're in it, it's one of the few times that I actually knew that I was doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And still didn't recognize it. And I thought I was being slight.
Yeah. But it's a value, man, in telling these young guys, kids or otherwise, that you're wrong. Like, yeah, man, I was being slight.
Yeah.
Because then they can see you as a human being with flaws and shortcomings like anybody else. You don't have to come off as the perfect, got it all together, because that's something that they can't live up to or they can't see that. But if they see you as somebody who is moving in the right direction, but you say to them, hey, man, I fumbled that.
But that's the kind of shit we traditionally want to keep from kids, right?
Right, exactly.
Like the process of fighting slight. Like,
right.
Or like even the process of watching two adults disagree in a constructive way. Like,
yeah.
The kids, it might be a good idea for kids to see how two adults process through a disagreement.
Yep.
Because more than likely, the ones that they see are the ones where you motherfuckers is blowing up at one another.
Yep.
And all of the cool, constructive ways is being done out in the shadows. Yep. And so their mind starts subconsciously associating conflict or problem solving as looking like that.
Yeah.
Which, so sometimes, a part of, I think maybe, it demonstrating what fighting through slight looks like to kids can help them understand, because we want to project this shit like, we're superheroes, and like they think that about us anyway, but they think about us like that for very different reasons than what we think.
Yeah.
And
they don't know, and they won't learn how to fight slight if we don't help them understand that we fight it too. Like we fight slight, we fall short, we struggle with it all the time. Like, and it's okay. That's part of the process. It ain't gonna be perfect. It ain't always gonna be pretty. But the main thing is you gotta keep moving, and you always gotta fight the slight, because we instill in them the bar, right? That same bar that we have to hold ourselves to. And when we know we're not getting there is when we're being slight, but we don't tell them that sometimes, man, you're not going to quite get there. Mm-hmm. That's not the end of the world. That's not, because a lot of kids, if they don't get there, they shut completely down, right? We don't tell them it's okay to take a step back and try again, or take a step back and make some adjustments and move forward in a different way. All that's part of it.
Yeah.
You can't, I do it, everybody does it. It's just all the same thing.
What I think is beautiful, man, about that is, the way we grew up, it was one of them, do what the fuck I say.
Yep.
We ain't having no conversations on no why.
Nope.
Last thing you can ask is why.
Yep.
Like, you just do what I say, and that's what it is. And it's so beautiful. That's all it is.
Yep.
And it's beautiful to see, like, especially my male friends, bro, like, have such beautiful relationships now with their children.
Yeah.
And take different approaches to some of this shit. Because it's not like, now don't get me wrong, everybody got their max.
Right.
They like, because I just said so, goddamn.
Right, exactly.
Like, I play with you for about 15 minutes. But that's 14 and a half more than what they got.
Yep.
But at some point in time, So they'll extend that grace for a period of time, which which I like. And I think in extending that grace, we can give them insight into how we overcome some of that stuff. Because it's not about just get up and do it.
Right.
Like sometimes we got to show them how to do that by showing them what failure looks like, what overcoming looks like, and all these other things. And, and it's a balance, man. Because like, you know, but I think that I think there's a way to integrate them into a child's life from a young age on, where they can conceive that as something very different than what the parent conceived it as.
Right.
Like, oh, this isn't failure. Like that might be how we see it, or how we saw it growing up, but we can create a world where fighting slight is just a part of getting it right.
Right.
Like
exactly.
And
exactly.
And demonstrating that.
Yeah, and exactly. And it's hard because you're right. We come up in the world, in existence where, you know, perfect is the only measure. Like if you on time, you 10 minutes late, like the perfection of it is all there is. There is no, hey, you failed, you lost. That's okay. We going to go back and we going to regroup and we going to try it again. We going, you know, from here we going, now what you want to do? Now, you know, how do we navigate this? That's part of it. Failure is part of it. Being slight. What do you do in those times? Yeah. Like when you do feel lazy and slight, sometimes you can't power through. Sometimes you gotta, you know, rethink. I mean, and there's always an alternative. There's always a conversation that you can have that'll teach them things that they can then take with them and use them in their journey in all aspects. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to necessarily be one thing, but in all aspects, if you give them these tools, like we talked about before, that's something that they can incorporate in their lives every day.
And even the notion of perfect, man, it's like, I don't give a fuck what parent you are. Your kid knows you're full of shit.
Yep.
They know it.
Yep.
They look at you and they smile and they laugh inside and they go back and tell their friends, I fucking hate it here. Like, because that's just, the idea, you're not perfect. Yep. So why should all of this why should all this pressure and expectation be put on me to be something that you're not?
Right.
Like, and because the best way you can really teach me how to be, show me how to be perfect, is by being perfect.
Yep.
And because that's not a realistic expectation for yourself, you can't set that shit for me.
Yeah, that's the number one disconnect between kids and their parents, is the idea, especially as they get older, is the idea that you're expecting this level of perfection from me that you can't demonstrate because you're not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They can point to plenty of instances and situations that you didn't handle it perfect to them, not to mention the ones that they don't know about. So and then that creates a level of, now you're yelling at them, wanting them to be perfect, and that creates tension. You know what I'm saying? But at some point you got to say, look, man, I'm surely not perfect. I got expectations, like I got expectations of myself. I want you to be successful like I want myself to be successful. I don't always measure up, but I keep pushing, and that's what I expect from you, to give it and try. Just try.
Do you talk to your kids about the concept of success and what that means?
Yeah, I try to, man. When I talk to them, I try to let them define what success is for them in that moment, for that thing. Like, you know, if they have a goal in mind, if they want to achieve this thing, what does that look like for you? Like, what does success look like for you? Is it starting? Is it being the best? Is it earning this level of, you know, belt, whatever the case is? Mm-hmm. What does that look like for you? That which you consider success? Now, how do you think that you can get there? And let them sort of process what is it going to take for me to get to this point, right? And support them in doing that. And whether or not they get there, I mean, that's, they're kids. So it's not, nobody in here is,
Yeah.
Ain't nobody, it's not, it's never as big of a deal as you think it is. Like, junior high school athletics ain't, we ain't in the NBA draft. You know what I'm saying? So if they want to set a goal and they want to achieve that goal, and they feel so much better when they set it and they achieve it with your support, not like, you're not holding them to the fire to get it done. But sometimes you got to add a little extra. Hey man, you're sitting around doing nothing. You could be moving towards something.
So what does the concept of fighting slight in that dynamic look like? So, like, let's say, for instance, your son wants to do something that doesn't necessarily reach, that doesn't reach his fullest potential.
Right.
Like, or how do you, like, what methods do you put in place, or do you have in place that says there's a little bit more here that you can do?
Man, kids generally set really lofty goals, right? They approach it with when they're open, or when they have the sort of autonomy to sort of dream big, their goals are generally either right where they want to be or way above. And never have I don't think I've experienced it where they're under like a lofty goal. You know what I'm saying? If you give them the opportunity, if you give them, if you talk to them about, well, what are you trying to, with this thing, whatever the thing is, what are you trying to achieve? Where do you want to be? And they'll say, hey, I want to be the best. You know what I'm saying? And I try to time box it in a year, in a season. Where do you want to be next season? Where do you want to be at the start of the season? Or the start of the year? Where do you want to be at the end of the season, end of the year? Where do you see yourself? And they generally, it's really lofty. I've never had to say, hey man, that's a little, really, you want to be a water boy? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Right? That's where you want to? So I've never had an experience where I had to say, now I've had to add extra motivation, like, okay, well, if
to
you
reach
do this,
that joint.
Right, if you do this, then you'll get this. Or I will, you want to do this, then I'm willing to do this. Then I'm willing to, add a little, let me make it a little more spicy by adding this little piece to it. So I don't know, man. I've never had to like up their motivation at all.
That's kind of dope as a motherfucker when you think about it. Cause I'm thinking about like, how do you fight slight? And and when you said that, I was like, shit, how the mind of a young person.
Exactly.
Like, that might be like if, cause when you think about like you said, like, I want to be the best.
Right.
Like,
right.
How often when's the last time you heard an adult say some shit like that?
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
So
exactly.
When you're younger, you have like these, like you have these concepts but you don't understand the level of effort. Yeah. You just know what it is. Like, I want to be president.
Yeah.
And you, a little black girl who is a quadriplegic.
Right.
And like, so you're not, that's blind.
Right.
From South Central, like in your mind, you're not even connecting the dots in how difficult that task is.
Right.
You just know that that's what you want to be.
Right.
So it's the adults around you that start breaking that shit down.
Yep.
And then start.
Yep.
And then into bite-sized pieces that are more manageable. Yeah. And then the next thing you know, you're a 40-year-old motherfucker. And when they say, so who are you? You be a 44-year-old James talking about, I don't like doing new shit.
Right.
Like,
no, I'm good.
Like,
But you know, man, it comes from, like, as adults, we tend to, like, if we set a goal, we factor in all of the shit that's involved, not just in that achieving that goal, but life shit. Like, I gotta work, I gotta do this on a week, you know what I'm saying? I gotta clean the big garage, you know what I'm saying? We factor in, and then all the fears. I ain't never really been able to do that, so I don't know why I think I can run a 5K, you know what I'm saying? Like, we build in all, but kids, they just think of the thing. Like, if it's basketball and they say, I want to start, that's just, they don't consider somebody has to get you to the gym, somebody has to find you a trainer, somebody has to find you, you know what I'm saying? Somebody has to do these things. They're just saying, I just want to just get to there. So, and you're right, though. Having a mind means that the only thing you care about is getting to that thing. Yeah. Like, all the rest of it, that's all noise. The only thing that's important is the goal that you see. And you see it and exists. Well, we go back to the first one, man. It's already there. We just have to clean away all the bullshit and get to it.
A part of that fight is just getting out of the way.
Yeah, man.
And just trying to see yourself in somebody else. Because I think for me, a lot of the fight is something that I even manufacture.
Yeah, dog.
Like, I create the adversary.
Yep.
I create the obstacles.
Yep.
And then I create this story around what I got to do to get through, over, and around the motherfucker.
Yep.
And, you know,
yep.
I can observe myself go through that whole process.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then be on the side and be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
Like what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, none of what you just created is real.
None of it.
And you didn't figure, and you just built it, and now you got all these emotions attached to the shit.
Yep.
For what purpose? When there was this straight line to this thing.
Yeah.
So just be honest with yourself and say you don't want to motherfucking do it.
Right.
Or
you're scared.
Or so, you know, listening, man, and being observant, I think, is a really key part of fighting it, because you can, or if there's even such a thing, and fighting meaning really just recognizing.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's 90% of it, is once you recognize it, then it's not recognizing it. Recognizing it takes the power away from it, because you recognize that it's something that's powerless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't recognize it, then it's a driving force and it's causing you to make decisions because you think it's you. But once you recognize it, it's just slight, then it loses its power. Like, then you have a choice. You can either say, all right, I'm gonna put this slight to the side and get this done. Or you can still be like, I'm just gonna be slight. Like, you know what you're doing.
You know it.
Yeah, because I all the time, man, I mean, it's simple. Like sometimes I want to go and make a mix, and the turntables are 50 feet away from me, and I won't do it. Like, because I'm attaching, man, nobody want to hear anything. You know what I'm saying? Nobody want to hear me.
It's a bunch of people already doing shit.
Right, I done heard those songs, 50 other people are doing it, man. So many people on Twitch. Ain't nobody going check into my, you know what I'm saying? Like, I start to, all these things you start to build up, none of which are true. It's all fabricated shit that you create to be slight.
Yeah.
And then you sit in the slightness like, I shoulda. All right, so.
Because then you'll hear somebody else do some shit and you be like, I should have done that.
I should have, yep. Or, worse than that for me, I was going to do that. That's crazy.
You know, got this damn cat. And I love her to death, man. And like, I've never had an animal before, and just watching her. What's up, Mia? She don't have no judgments, bro.
Nah.
About nothing.
Yeah.
She just know what she want.
Yeah.
When she want it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
She has no concept of 10%.
Yeah.
There's no percentages. Like, she's either doing some shit or she ain't.
She's completely in the moment, dog. Like, she's chilling, sleeping, eating, running around, smelling. I mean, it's completely in the moment. There's no concept of what happened before. There's no concept of what's gonna happen later. It's just what I'm doing right now.
So is a part of being human meaning having something to compare?
I don't know.
Because like the whole essence of slight means comparing something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's a measurement.
Yep. But what is a measurement? What are you comparing? Because sometimes it's comparing stuff that you've done or haven't done. Sometimes it's comparing stuff that other people have done or haven't done. And you don't feel like that you measure. And most of the time being slight is even before you complete this thing. So you don't feel like you measure up even before you're done. So the understanding that I'm not gonna finish this thing before I'm not gonna finish this thing because of what I think is gonna happen once it's completed. Like I think ain't nobody gonna wanna really fuck with it, even though, I mean that's all baggage you carry with you.
So is that just human nature?
I don't know. It can't be. It can't be. Dog, we built the pyramids. We made amazing feats of humans made, man, we made all kinds of great accomplishments. It can't be, like measuring up can't be,
but those were our anti-slight moments.
So we got anti-slight moments as humans?
And I think that's a part of what we're saying. Like, it's not an outwardly thing, slight. Like, you know when you're not doing your best.
Right.
Like, you know.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck who you are.
Yep.
You know when you bullshit.
Yep.
That's actually another word for slight.
Yep.
Slight is a nice way of saying bullshit.
You bullshit. And you know you bullshit.
Like, you know you bullshit.
Yeah.
And so that's what I think I mean. And I think no matter who you are, like that's something that you just fight. That's something that you struggle with, man. We struggle with bullshit. And like you can lie, you can bullshit.
Yeah.
But you know you bullshit.
But you know. But so do you think that the more that you're not slight, the less the less times you become slight? Like if you're slight all the time, like when you bullshitting all the time, it just becomes a habit, like a pattern.
Yeah.
Or if you're bullshit less, if you take the slight or you're attempting to take the slight out of your existence, do you become slight less? Do you learn a pattern on how to overcome slight faster the more you overcome slight?
I think you do, because I think it's all an internal conversation that we're having. Yeah. And I think it's a muscle like anything else.
Clean.
So like the more you exercise that muscle, the stronger it'll get. Yeah. And the faster the reflexes of exercising that muscle are going to be. So it'll just, but that's where the accountability comes in. Yeah. Because like whatever pattern you're developing, or repeating, it gets easier after a while.
Yeah.
It gets easier to bullshit. And that's why sometimes, you know, that's why having your people around you be like, yo, man, you fucking up, bro.
Right, you bullshitting.
Like you bullshitting. You being slight as a motherfucker right now. You can't do that. Like, because, and maybe they witnessed that or observed it enough times before to where they had to say something to check it because, like, look, listen, man.
Right.
Your slight's getting out of control. Like, you exhibiting way too much slight behavior. Now you getting ready, now you enter into motherfucking, what's the word? What does slight become?
That's a good question, dog. Because
worthless?
Yep. In order for you to get to the next level of slight, well, when your people know that you're capable of certain things, and they know that you're not, you're not even trying to get to that point to where they know you're capable of, right? And that's when they say you're being slight. And you know that. But the more that you're slight, does the bar come down? Like, if you know you're capable of great things, but you never accomplish it, do that great things bar drop down and you become worthless? Or can you at any time after 10 years of being slight be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm greater. I'm great, shoot for the moon.
Because I don't think slight is about the end result.
True.
I think it's about the effort.
Yes.
So whatever, like if this is the, like if right here is where you stuck a pin in your mind and you got here,
right,
that's slight.
Right.
So 10 years from now, you could set the pin right here,
right,
and if you don't get there, you slight.
Right.
So like you could have set it right here. Like it's not it's the effort that you put into it.
You're right.
So
you're right.
And that's what's the word I'm looking for? That's relative. Yeah. Because it can be, that's the part where you know. Like you know you bull, like it's like it's like a lot of the things I think dudes tell themselves about sex. Yeah. And just fucking around with a bunch of people or whatever.
Yeah.
You know you bullshit.
Yep.
You know you being slight as a motherfucker. You know it.
Yep.
You know it in your core. You know it. But guess what you get to hide behind? Oh man, it's just what men's supposed to do. Yeah. Like shit, it's built in our DNA. We physical. Get the fuck. Like all of that is shit that you get to hide behind. Yeah. And that's the reason why this shit don't never feel good.
Right.
It don't never feel good after you fuck around.
Yeah.
With a bunch of different shit.
Yeah.
And then you end up back at the square looking at a woman lying in her face about some shit. That don't feel good.
Yeah, at the same point. And whatever it is that caused you to act that way, it's still there.
It's still there.
You can't, you try to hide from the shit in that. That's why most dudes do it. There's something brewing underneath that makes them feel like that this will make that better. But it's still there. That shit is waiting for you, dog.
Bro, and we will attach any story to justify our behavior. Yeah. But that's like that with anything. Yeah. And that is motherfucking slight.
Yeah.
That is the epitome. If you looked up slight in the dictionary, it would be a motherfucker being slight, walking around picking up all the stories that defend their narrative about that defend their behavior.
So is there levels of being slight?
Nah, either you are or you ain't.
No, I mean, so you got that level of being making excuses for your slightness, and then you got times where you just like, look, man, I know I'm being slight. Let me get my shit together. I have no excuse. I was just being slight, dog.
I think what differentiates the two is how quickly you'll overcome your slightness.
Ah, okay.
But you're both slight. Yeah. Because that person who is hiding They can't hide from themselves.
Right.
They hiding from everybody else.
Right. Right.
Like,
right.
That is still
it's still waiting for you. It's still waiting for you.
It's still waiting for you.
Yep.
So, I'll go ahead and adapt this philosophy of men being visual creatures and want to go out and plant their seed. Sure, I'll adapt that.
Okay.
I don't give a fuck about none of that. All I know is at the end of the day, when I'm done planting my motherfucking seed, I don't feel right.
Right. It's still there.
It's still there.
Right.
I still know that when I was supposed to control my emotions when I was having a motherfucking conversation with somebody and I took the shit personally and didn't handle it right. I still and no matter what excuse I use for it, I'm still there.
Right.
And so a part of it I think is just acknowledging the conversation, listening to it, and then understanding your relationship to it.
Right.
And then what you want to do about it. Because if not fixing it isn't a part of your fucking story, you being slight.
Right.
So
or addressing it. Because sometimes you really can't fix it per se immediately. But addressing it.
Yeah. What was the word you used? Acknowledge? Acknowledging it, that is but that's also, and you're right, thank you for clarifying that. You know what it is.
Right. Right. And that acknowledgement should lead to your choice of whether you're going to address it or not.
And the crazy part about all this shit is, damn, that sounded fucked up. The crazy part about all this shit is there's even a balance to fighting slight.
Yep.
Because you don't want to beat yourself up.
That's right.
Because you still have to understand that everything, there's even a process to that.
Yep.
And you can't be too hard on yourself. And I think even that is a skill in and of itself. Because I think even when we're saying, what you're supposed to do and you don't do it. And if you don't do it, you bring your ass back to the crib and then you, the next thing you know, you motherfucker eating Oreos, watching fried green tomatoes. Just all in your feelings and shit because you I failed again. And then you start sobbing and shit. No, get your ass up and do that shit again tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And
but get it right.
Right. And there's a value to feeling slight because you know better. If you did something or if you didn't live up or whatever the case is, and you don't feel that slight feeling, then that's when it's a whole different thing. You just out here just wilding, and you don't have that feeling of slight. So slight in itself is that whole you, is that better you saying, nah, this ain't what we are. You know what I'm saying? We're something better. We're something different.
Yeah.
And we need to figure this shit out. We need to address it. So part of acknowledging it, and even if you gotta go home and watch fried green tomatoes and sob and shit, but the next day, you gotta address it and not be slight.
Yeah.
And that's hard, but that's why the slide is there. The slide is there to remind you that you are better. It ain't something that it ain't for everybody. It ain't just come out of it, ain't just fall out of the sky. It's to remind you that you are better.
I like that.
That's a funny ass word still, man. I laugh at that joint every time.
we probably said it more than this motherfucker than.
We say that shit. All right, man. So, as we move to Fight and Slight, do you have a soundtrack to your fight? To you fighting Slight? What do you listen to when you at your slightest, and you say, "I need what can I throw on to make me feel less light?"
I don't know if it's a. All of it, I think, for me, just kind of like falls into the same category, but they're just different kinds of conversations that I'm having in my head. But I think to things that help motivate me, get out of those pieces, those negative. No, I don't even want to say negative. They're not negative.
No,
that to get me out of to motivate me. Is probably a better way.
Yeah,
is jazz, man. I've still been listening to a lot of it.
Yeah. It's interesting.
I get into moments where I like listening to like electronic music too.
Oh yeah.
And like those kinds of sounds and beat patterns and shit.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, some energy in it.
Yeah, and I like the energy in the sound.
Yeah.
And just different kinds of shit, because there's stuff that you don't even really hear, and it don't have to be up tempo. Ain't gotta, the BPMs ain't gotta be hella high.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, when I'm at when I know I'm being slight, man, who always sort of, and I start to think about like being motivated in terms of, I don't know if this is right or wrong, in terms of who and what is going against me, right? Who and what, mainly who wants to see me not succeed. And Jay-Z a lot of times speaks to all the people who thought you couldn't do it. Like and I always think they're winning. And in order for them not to win, even if it just for a second sort of gets the gears turning, and then I move forward. Hove does it for me a lot.
You got a particular joint?
That joint, Ambitions. You know what I'm saying?
Is that the one? Is Rick Ross on that?
Nah, that's him and Pharrell. Yeah, him and Pharrell on the joint. Yeah.
That Pharrell did the joint.
Yeah, definitely a Neptune's joint. But he's on it too, he sang the hook as usual. And a lot of his stuff from The Reasonable Doubt, a lot of that sort of pushes me forward a lot of times.
So you get fuel from motherfuckers doubting you.
Yeah. And it's just and I wouldn't even say it's fuel. It's more of a spark, like turning that key, and that's one small spark that starts the engine going. That's what that is. It's not any important pieces like the fuel or the, you know what I'm saying, or the cylinders or anything like that. Or it's just a spark. It's just that thing that I say, man. Some people out here who didn't want you to get whatever. They don't want you to be, And now they sitting back winning, and you being slight. So that kind of flips it for me. And a lot of times I know that that's not probably the best attachment to make, but it gets me to the next thing.
It's funny you're thinking about that, man, because I think, like, if a motherfucker think I'm a fail, I don't even think I've ever had that. I'm trying to think if I've even thought in those terms. I think more about whether somebody gonna like my shit or not.
Interesting. And
as opposed to whether or not, like,
they're actively seeking your fit. And I don't, to be honest with you, motherfuckers don't give a fuck about me. Like, that's just something I create in my brain to get me moving.
Hold on. So you mean, wait a minute. So you're telling me that there's not a clandestine group
Absolutely not.
Of black ninjas skilled in the art of motherfucking cyber espionage.
Absolutely not.
Conspiring to destroy DJ life.
Nope, it ain't.
What?
But in my mind, those days when I gotta make them,
Nigga, you Inception?
Listen, dog, I plan them. I think of specific people that I say to myself, that motherfucker ain't never liked you. He don't want you to be successful. You know what I'm saying? He sitting around. Like, dog, I attach something to them that don't exist. Just to, you know what? I don't know if you saw that 20 for 20, 30 for 30, Jordan, or the Bulls joint.
No.
He did the same thing. He would attach, like he would say people don't like him for him to get motivated to play better. So Karl Malone, he would say that Karl Malone said something about him, and Karl Malone ain't never said it. And that would motivate him to go out.
That nigga creating enemies.
Dog, and I find myself doing that. But it worked.
Yeah.
And it don't hurt nobody. I don't, it worked.
When I think about stuff like that, though, the way my mind works is like, what other parts of your life are you doing that in? Because I find it, if we're reproducing in a lot of different areas of my life, I'm like, okay, so if I have to create an adversary in order to bring out the best in me, am I creating adversaries in my relationships? Am I creating adversaries in, in what other areas am I doing that so that I can perform at high levels?
Dog, you call me out. So I'm going to say this. Probably for me, a lot of different areas where I do that. But I don't consciously, those adversaries aren't created for me in order for me to be successful. Like when I succeed at something or when I'm moving forward at something, I don't think about those adversaries that I created in my brain. To just the one spark that I need to get forward, I might create and it might be an adversary. I don't know. Somebody could be like, but what life some shit.
But what if your objective is to be right? Like
to prove them wrong as opposed to accomplishing what I need to accomplish?
What it's an objective at the end of the day.
What do you mean?
Whatever it is whatever it is you're trying to do. Like the brain, it's still an obstacle. I'm having a conversation with you. I think that the way we go here, when we get to this restaurant, is by going down New York Avenue.
Okay.
And you like, nah, motherfucker. The way we go to get there is to go up North Capitol, go around on M Street, and this and that and the third.
Right.
So you disagree with me. Do you have to subconsciously make me an adversary in order for your way of getting there to be right? And it might not even be a good example. It's probably a shitty example. But sometimes, succeeding, the definition of success subconsciously could be just being right. As long as I'm right, I won. I succeeded.
No, because I don't, other aspects of my life, I don't, make that same association. Not consciously. Competitive sometimes, yes. Like when we're DJing and we're the spot and it gets a little competitive sometimes, that's cool.
But that's the same thing, bro.
It ain't, because it ain't about winning. It's about, because I don't subconsciously at the end of it think there's winners and losers.
Of course you do.
No, I don't. So
what's the objective? So when you said when it's competition, what is Who are you competing against?
Nobody.
Did y'all sit? That's my point. Did y'all just have a conversation? Who are you competing against?
I'm nobody.
But you just said competing.
Because, so you've never been out DJing with us. We've been out doing our thing. And it's, maybe competition is a bad word. If I see your set is good, that's gonna make me want a set that's better. Not to disparage you, to say you're to be better than you, but just to have a good, like to you, if you set the bar high, I want to at least get there or higher so that the next person has to get higher and we have a good night. But like, in my mind, I don't think it's a competition.
Think about what you're saying. You're saying to be better, not to tell. You're not saying you're better than me. You're saying it to yourself.
What do you mean?
So you're saying, like, so the goal, so if you hear me do a set, you want to do better.
Yes.
Why?
I don't know.
So
because I think that will make the night good. for everybody.
But why do you have to do better than me in order for the night to be good?
Maybe better was wrong. I mean, I want to, like, if you killing it, right? Dude, I want to kill it too. You think I want to be slight?
It's better to own it, bro.
No.
Because you keep trying to twist it that it don't sound fucked up.
What you mean? So
it don't sound fucked up, by the way. I'm kidding.
So if you have a good set, right, and you killing it,
you're creating
and I'm looking at you like
adversary.
No. Because I don't think it's a me versus you thing. I'm thinking that, like,
but you want to do better than me. But you want to do better than me.
For example, if we playing basketball, right, we're on a team. We're on the same team. We want to win. Everybody wants to win, right? You go out and you do your thing. You score 20, 10 rebounds, whatever. You make me feel like I need to go out and do my thing too.
Yeah.
But it ain't I'm not competing against you. I just want the team to be better.
But those are two different things you just said. One is you're playing your part.
That's what I mean.
You want to contribute.
That's what I mean.
So
I don't want to go up there and be slight and stink up the joint.
So you might be creating these adversarial scenarios in your head. This is what I was saying before. You're creating the process of having an adversary so that you can win. Like, you're gonna go back and look at this video, bro, and you're gonna be like, this nigga's right.
No.
So it's not anything, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's like, it's not bad, but that's just what that's what a lot of us do. That's all I'm saying.
But I don't feel like, in order for me to create an adversarial relationship in my head, to me, I have to feel that this person is an adversary. Like, it's me against them. I don't see it that way. If like I said, if you go out and score 20, I want to do my part and score 20, maybe even 22. So maybe a little bit of competition, but I mainly want to make sure that I do my part.
Bro. Oh, we're going to start episode 4 off with you explaining how you feel.
Apologize.
You see it.
I want to apologize.
There's nothing. I don't think.
You don't see that?
I don't think it's a bad. It's not a bad thing, and I think that there's something about what you initially said, and it's not bad, dude. Like, and I think that's the only reason why you running around it so much, because you think it's a negative thing. And I don't think it's negative. I don't think you think you're better than me as a human being or even as a DJ. And even if you do, you do. But I'm not saying that you think that. I'm saying that, like, the way I'm hearing you describe it, when we get into a spot, you feel like you gotta murder a nigga in order to contribute to that night. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying when you get off and you be like, you saw I killed you, right?
Let me say this.
Did you hear what I did?
Yeah.
You know you didn't. You didn't equal up.
I said that.
You've said it. Yeah. Everybody said it, but we know it's a joking thing.
Right. Okay, let's put it this way. The only reason why I would say that is because I know your capability. Like if you was somebody who I know couldn't, like, you know what I'm saying? Because normally, okay, let's say for me, if I'm a resident at a spot and I'm DJing, let's say I bring somebody else in the DJ, I want them to shine. So I'm going to play back a little bit because I'm not trying to outshine them. So I want them to have all of the glory for the night, right? So I'm not going in and trying to compete with them and try to, you know, up the energy. I'm just out there to just keep it and let them do their thing, right? But when it comes to people who I know or DJs who I know have a level that I know that is high, then I'm going to meet that level, try to meet that level, or try to bring it up a little bit and let them bring it. You know what I'm saying? Only because I know what they're capable of and I want to see them do it.
And where we're talking about now isn't that. It's the mental process that you use to do that. And what you basically say is, I'm about to murder this motherfucker. And that's cool.
That ain't fair, dog. You attaching that shit to me. I ain't even say that.
I get it.
Now I've said that. You've said that too. Don't act like that. Don't do that.
Listen, man.
Don't do that, dog.
We have different conversations about my DJ style.
You've never said to me, you know I killed that. You said that to me,
bro, as a joke.
The fuck out
dog. I murdered that shit, and you be like, bro, you did. But I feel like I have such a unique perspective
on what?
On DJing in terms of like my thing, to where I don't even compare it in that way, because what I am trying to find is me in the joint. And I think that if I can do that, then it's cool. And I'm happy at that moment.
Dog, that all sound good. and kumbaya and flowers and all that extra shit.
Yeah.
But we all know, dog, I've seen you in spots feel like that when I've seen your eyes where you feel like you're gonna get up there and show and you're gonna try to murder the spot.
Not you though.
I never said me.
No, I'm never feeling like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
no, I don't feel like there's a competition between me and that person.
I don't ever think that it's a competition. Like I am always in competition with myself. Always. Like so to go back to before, like what you were saying, with you create like with Jordan creating Karl Malone, like Karl Malone's like saying Karl Malone said some shit that he did not say. Like
right.
Creating adversaries.
Right.
Like I don't do that in order to get to points, because my biggest adversary, I've always entered, and I'm not saying that it's even the right way of doing it. I'm just saying it's not that way. In my mind, I'm thinking, how can I get my shit in check?
But if you're saying that your biggest competition, that you're competing against yourself, then that's still an adversary.
Oh, fuck. No.
What?
No, it's not. You can't compete. That's not an adversary.
What do you mean?
Yeah, it is. All right. My fucking mind's about to blow up.
Only difference is, mine is external and yours is internal.
Listen, man.
So if I look at Corey and anybody, name somebody, Nate, and I'm like, man, we DJing together. I'm ready to bust these motherfuckers' heads. But hold on for a second.
I had to think about what you said. That's not an adversary I created. That's an adversary that is real.
How? How? You created. How are you in competition with yourself, dog?
Because
that's the adversary you created.
I'm the only thing that is real in that moment. So of course I.
But what's the adversarial relationship? That relationship isn't.
Sometimes real. It's not. You had a look on your face, like, bro.
You was about to say sometimes it's not. No, I can't even believe you said that.
Boy, you had this look on your face.
Sometimes it's not.
You almost. The look was like, did he just say what he said? Oh man.
Oh shit. That was funny. So on the episode 4, you gonna come on the joint and be like, yeah. I like to apologize to.
Nah,
that's how you gonna start it,
man. Cause I mean, the whole point of you bringing that up just completely destroyed my fucking position, and I don't like that. So a part of me not being slight is acknowledging I don't like that, as opposed to create some bullshit.
I don't like that.
Nah, but
that's funny. All right, man. So another thing I listened to recently, and you brought up jazz. I listened to, man, I just figured out that there's a nexus between jazz, like the traditional jazz, and dance and soul dance music, like Roy Ayers. He is part of a large Herbie Hancock. There's another one in there too. George Duke. There's a nexus of Kool and the Gang of jazz and soul dance music that exists.
Earth, Wind and Fire play with that shit a little bit too.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. With the joint, they did a joint with Ramsey Lewis. But another joint today, the faster joint. But anyway, the Kenny Dope remix. You know what I'm talking about? Is Brazilian something? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And there's a sweet spot in there, man. That's dope. Like, it has to be 74, 5, somewhere in there, where they started to really sort of mix in there. A lot of hip hop use it. Then a lot of dance, like a lot of beginnings of disco, a lot of like dance music. I don't even know what to call it. Soul, it was just R&B soul music back in the day.
I fuck with George Duke heavy, bro.
Yeah, George
I like
Duke.
that. I think got a song called Dookie Stick.
Yeah, that joint's crazy.
He's cold. And I mean, you know Roy.
Yeah.
Saw him at the me and Terrell went to go see him at Blues Alley. Ooh. I shook his hand, man. I was like, I was gonna give him a hug. I was gonna give him a what was I gonna give him? Something about I was gonna tell him about Terrell's Look Into the Wisdom. I think that's the name of it. His Roy Ayers tribute joint.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, man, let me let this dude go.
Yeah, it's
he up there in age, bro.
Yeah, I saw him at Carter Barron, man. That had to be a while ago. Yeah, he's up there. He's up there.
So what we gonna we're gonna post something about Roy Ayers.
Yep.
George Duke.
Yep. Who'd you say?
Shit, I can't remember.
I don't even remember.
Somebody, we'll put them down there.
Yeah, we get them on there.
Yeah, this was a light chop, man, but much appreciated and respected. Absolutely. Nonetheless.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Thank everybody for tuning in again. We see y'all next time, man.
Same bat time.
Same bat channel, man. Tune the fort. We out.
Peace.